What's up, everyone? It's another Monday, and we are back here in the break room. I'm so excited to be with you all. For those of you that are catching it live, thank you so much for your patience and your diligence. We were having some technical difficulties this morning, but for those of you that are catching it on the replay, I'm so excited that you're here. If you are on Facebook, why not go ahead and share this with a friend? Go ahead and tag someone in the comments below or hit that share button. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Go ahead and like us, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know every time that we're going to be on. For those of you, if this is your first time, what we do on Mindful Mondays is just set our intention for the week. One of the things that I love is that as human beings, unlike every other creature there is, we have the ability to act on our decisions and not just our instincts. And so what we want to harness here in this environment is ensuring that we give ourselves tips, motivation, and just excitement around making good decisions about who we're going to be in every aspect of our lives. So again, this is just a quick little power nugget. We're not going to be on here for long, but I'm ready to jump in. So today's topic is, do I have to? I mean, we've all got these things that we just are like, I really don't feel like doing it. It could be working out. It could be eating healthy. It can be sometimes for me getting up and going to work in the morning. You just feel like I don't have the strength. I don't have the resolve. There are other things I'd much rather be doing. But we have to harness something that I call, which is the power of discipline, so that we're able to do the things that we don't want to do for a season so that we can do the things we actually desire and want to do in another season. It's like paying it forward to yourself. That's what discipline is. But for those of you that are a little bit more technical, I'm going to tell you what Webster says. Discipline is training that corrects, molds, or perfects. I'll say that again. Discipline is training that corrects, molds, or perfects. So when you're thinking about discipline, when you use discipline, it is to make sure that you are training yourself, number one, which means you probably really don't have that skill and ability naturally. Maybe you have it a little bit, but you're trying to take it to the next level. It's also something that's going to correct. Maybe it's something that you want to get better at, but it's also maybe something that is way out of whack. I think about me personally right now. I'm really being disciplined about my exercise and about me eating right because I have certain goals. It's molding me in a different way, and it's trying to get me to a better state. The thing about discipline, I'm sure you heard it a million times. Discipline is not so much important when you feel like it. Discipline is what you need when you don't feel motivated, when you don't feel inspired. And I want to tell you that there is a lot of times we think, okay, well, I always have to feel inspired. I always have to feel motivated to do something. And the answer is you're not going to always like what you have to do. You're going to not always want to do what you have to do, but it's still necessary. And that's where the art of discipline comes into play. I remember several years ago, I want to say late 90s, early 2000s, there was this wonderful little thing that was going around where people were wearing these little bracelets, and it was WWJD. What would Jesus do? And so it was to remind people of this mantra whenever you were feeling like you needed to make a decision or you couldn't do something, to remind yourself of what would Christ do. And sometimes when I don't feel like doing things, I do lean into that old adage of WWJD, what would Jesus do? Especially when it comes to things that I don't like. So I'm like, do I have to eat right? Do I have to live right? Do I have to be kind to the people on my job? Do I have to be kind to my neighbors? There are a lot of things that may go through your head, like, do I have to do it? I don't feel like it. But I want to pull on my greatest example in my life, which is Christ. And I'm going to give you all a few scriptures so that we can talk about what would Jesus actually do. Okay. All right. So let's go into it. If you look at Luke 22:40 through 44, we're going to talk about a time that Jesus didn't want to do something. And I know y'all probably are like, is there a time that Jesus didn't want to do something? Yes, he was tempted in every way, just like us. And there are a lot of times and a lot of things that he was asked to do that he just, quite frankly, did not want to do. So I'm going to tell you what to do when you encounter those things. So Luke 22:40 through 44. I'm reading from the Amplified Version. It says, and when he came to the place, he being Jesus, he said to them, pray that you may not at all enter into temptation. And that's going to be very important. We'll come back to that. And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw and knelt down and prayed, saying, Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but always yours be done. And there appeared to him an angel from heaven, strengthening him in spirit. And being in agony of mind, he prayed all the more earnestly and intently. And his sweat became like great clots of blood dropping down upon the ground. Now let's just stop there. Jesus is all powerful. He is God in flesh. He has the ability to do anything. At this point, up until this point in the scripture, we've seen him perform miracles. We've seen him basically command people to walk on water, all kinds of things. But at this point in time, he's in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's been challenged to do something that he doesn't want to do, which is ultimately become sin himself and take on our punishment for those of us that are Christians and believers, for the whole world, but those that are believers, that's what we believe, okay? So he's preparing himself for the ultimate sacrifice, which is his life, okay? But he doesn't want to do that. Ding, 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 ding. There are a lot of times that there are things that we're being called to do that we don't want to do. That's step number one, to know that Jesus didn't always like the things that he was charged with doing. But the second thing is that before he went on this journey, he said in verse 40, is that pray that they do not enter into temptation. Now, I like to pick apart the scriptures, and I would say that probably in this instance, when he says, don't let them be in temptation, what he's talking about is the temptation, not just of the world, but think about what he's about to face. Don't let them be tempted, them being the disciples, to not complete the course that's before them because maybe they don't like something that's set up along the way. How many times have we given in to the temptation of quitting or giving up because we haven't gotten the outcomes we want, or maybe we're not getting the applause that we want, or the attention or notoriety, or maybe it's just too daggone tough? There are a lot of times that we're doing things, and guess what? We could fall into the temptation of giving up, but that's not something that Christ wants us to do. And I'm going to tell you what he did next. So it said that the next thing that he did in verse 41 is that he withdrew himself about a stone's throw away, and he knelt down and prayed. So that's your next strategy when it comes to discipline. When you're asking yourself, do I have to? Do I want to? You need to think about, okay, am I in good company? And do I need to separate myself? Separation is not the same as isolation. I'll say that again. Separation is not the same as isolation. So sometimes you have to separate yourself for a moment, for a season. For some people or things, it might be longer than that, so that you can get clarity and you can focus in on the task that has to get done, so that you can then reintroduce yourself back to everybody else with strength and power. And a lot of us are not able to get things done and pull on the grace of discipline because we refuse to separate ourselves for a season so that we can focus on the task at hand. So my question to you is, what has you distracted? Do you need to separate from someone? Do you need to separate from some mentalities, some mindsets? What things do you need to let go so that you can get done what's ahead of you, and then at a later time rejoin and get back into the fold? So that's tip number 2. First thing is, don't fall into the temptation to say, I don't want to participate. And then the second thing is making sure that you separate, not isolate, but separate yourself for a moment in time so that you can get accomplished the task that needs to be accomplished. For me, I have to separate myself from my bed at 5 a.m. every morning, even though I don't want to, while it's cold, to go to that gym again so I can get the task at hand accomplished. All right, third thing, he prayed. Come on now. He prayed. Jesus said, Father, if you are willing, let this cup pass from me. But if not, not my will, but your will. So step 3 is praying. But after you pray, step 4 is coming into agreement and coming to alignment that regardless of what the cost is, I'm going to complete that which is before me. And a lot of us do not come into a mental agreement and a heart agreement. It first is with Jesus' heart. It was, you know what? This cup isn't going to pass. I know this is part of my purpose. It's the reason why I came to earth. It's my task. I'm going to move forward. And so I want to encourage you that regardless of what it is, purpose in your heart, that you're going to fulfill whatever you need to fulfill that's ahead of you. All right. The last thing, and I want to emphasize this, is after Jesus' purpose in his heart. It didn't say anything in the Amplified about his mind, okay? After he purposed in his heart that, nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. Basically, he counted the cost and says, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. It says in the Bible that then angels came to minister to him and strengthen him in spirit. Some of us are not able to get tasks accomplished. Some of us are lacking discipline and even lacking the results that we need, not because God doesn't want us to strengthen us to do the task. You haven't done like Jesus did. And again, he is our template. You haven't settled in your heart that you're going to do whatever it takes, even though it's uncomfortable. And I would submit to you that a lot of us are going to find strength in this next season as we submit to what God is asking us to do. It didn't say that the angels came when he started praying. That's not what it said. The Bible is very descriptive. It said that angels came to minister to him when he accepted that it wasn't about his will, but nevertheless, God's will being done. And what you need for strength for whatever's task ahead of you is for you to say, you know what, God, it's not even about me. I purpose in my heart that it's about you, whether it's me getting up and going to this job every day, whether it's me getting up and serving my spouse, even though they're not acting their best, whether it's me interacting with my children, my neighbors, any person that you come in contact with, whatever God is asking you to do. When you purpose in your heart that you're going to do that to the best of your ability, that's when the angels came to strengthen Jesus. And some of us are asking God for strength, and the strength is not going to come until we submit to the plan and purpose that he has for our lives. The Bible says again in verse 43, not at the beginning of the prayer, is when he came into acceptance, alignment, and agreement with God's will, that it said that an angel appeared from heaven to strengthen him. Your help is going to come when you accept and align. Help comes when you accept and when you align. And so that's a key thing that I want to point out. And then after that, remember I said step 4 is that he had agreement in his heart. His mind was still beating him down, saying no, because in verse 44, it said, and being in agony of mind, he prayed even the more earnestly and intently until his sweat became like clots of blood dripping down to the ground. When I tell you, even when you purpose in your heart to do something, your mind, the environmental factors, and when I say environment, I'm not talking about just rain and snow. That might happen too, but just things in life like this morning, technical difficulties, or things may try to get in your way. I want you to expect those things, because oftentimes when you purpose something in your heart, there's going to be something on the other side of that that's trying to counter or buffet what you say you're going to do. Perfect example. I'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm really going to fast this week. I'm going to eat very healthy. As soon as I purpose in my heart that I'm going to do that, it's like my mama calls me and tell me about all the good food she made, things that I actually love and like. My friends want to come bring me treats and all those different types of things. Because what? I purpose in my heart, but the testing comes not to your heart and what you say you want to do. It's coming to your mind and to those environmental factors to say, are you going to stay true and committed to what you already purposed in your heart to do? So again, even when you go through all these steps and say, you know what, I don't like it, I'm going to do it, you've got to remain consistent. You got to remain diligent. You got to remain committed to say, come hell or high water, come what may, I am going to do exactly what God has told me to do. Again, think about step 1. Step 1 is don't fall into the temptation of saying, you know what, it ain't worth it, I'm not going to do it. Step 2 is separate, not isolate, but separate yourself for a season so that you're focused on what you got to get done. And sometimes you have to eliminate those distractions. They can look like people, places, or things. Step 3, You want to go to God in prayer. Step 4, you want to get alignment to what God is saying to you in prayer and purpose in your heart that come what may, you're going to do it. And then step 5, after the Lord ministers to you, the last thing that you want to do is you want to consistently, the Bible says, Jesus earnestly and intently continue to pray. Come on, y'all. He didn't stop one time. He continued to pray because guess what? His mind was battling him like, really? Do you want to do this cross stuff? I know you want to be obedient. I know you purpose in your soul and your spirit. You're going to do this, but do you really know what it's going to take? Some of y'all are thinking about it at your job. Do you know what it's really going to take to sit there and be humble and work up under somebody that you actually know more than them? But the Lord has told you to be honorable and to be humble. Do you really think you're going to sit there and serve someone that has been rude to you? Nah, I don't think I want to do that. No, you should do that because again, your mind is going to be fighting you because it thinks it knows what's right. But again, we're not here to act on our instincts. The instincts would be if somebody hits you, hit them back. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth. That's instincts. But what we do is we act on decisions. And the decision is not what I want, but what is best for the situation in the long term. And the only person that truly is seeing that is God. All right. Well, we're going to set our weekly intention. I hope this has been helpful to you. Remember, when you see this weekly intention, it's not just about me saying it. I want you to speak it over yourself because what you speak, you hear, you resonate, you see it, you rehearse it in your heart, and that shapes your world and it's going to make your reality. So here's our intention for the week. I will harness discipline to help me complete what is necessary, even when I don't like the activity. I'll say that again. I'm about to work out. It's late, y'all, and I'm about to work out tonight, probably for another hour and 15 minutes. Again, weekly intention. I will harness discipline to help me complete what is necessary, even when I don't like the activity. One more time, but I want you to say it with me. I will harness discipline to help me complete what is necessary, even when I don't like the activity. Well, I'm so glad that you all were here with me for another Mindful Monday. Remember, we are just a culmination of all our decisions. And what we want to do each and every Monday is help you be intentional about setting the course for what you want to focus on the week to help you make better decisions. And as a result of you making better decisions, I guarantee you, you're going to have a better life. All right, go ahead and share this with a friend. I hope that each and every one of you have an awesome start to your week. Let's start strong and finish strong. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.